The Renaissance, the cultural rebirth that occurred in Europe from roughly the 14th through the middle of the 17th centuries, based on the rediscovery of the literature of Greece and Rome.
Why is the Renaissance important?
It is important because it changed the way we think and see the world. It was a transitional period between medieval thinking and modern day thinking.
How did the mathematics in the Renaissance impact us today? Who were the mathematics people involved in the Renaissance?
Isaac Newton is one of the mathematicians in the Renaissance. He was the master of astronomy, chemistry, mathematics, physics, and theology. He discovered the law of gravity and 3 laws of motion, all of which are used today in modern-day physics.
Peter Ramus was the first mathematician to prove Aristotle's logic wrong, and he made the Ramus logic the logic that we are learning off of today.
Blaise Pascal was a mathematician, scientist, writer, and a physicist. He invented the mechanical calculator.
Galileo Galilei is one of the mathematicians involved in the Renaissance. He is also known as the father of modern science. He was an Italian physicist, mathematician, engineer, astronomer, and a philosopher, and he also discovered the law of the pendulum. How did they impact the society?
Isaac Newton practically impacted every field of study in some way. His laws of motions were written in a book called the Principia, which laid the foundation for today's physics. He developed a new type of math called calculus, which is used today in advanced engineering and science. He also developed the reflecting telescope.
Peter Ramus made the Ramus logic the logic made how we teach today. If he did not make it, we would still be learning the Aristotle logic and we would not be learning accurate knowledge.
Blaise Pascal is the first mathematician to invent the mechanical calculator.
Galileo Galilei impacted our society in a lot of different ways. He published a book called Little Balance that studied little objects, and he produced a manuscript entitled De Means on Motion. He published another doing science book, which he wrote about his life while working on the science of motion. He also discovered the telescope. How did they change our beliefs or understanding about our world?
Isaac Newton's theories changed the way we see the world and our understanding of it. People thought the world was a square, and he proved it to be a circle. It used to be thought that light was made up of one color, and he proved it to be made up of a spectrum of colors.
Peter Ramus' logic changed the world because people started learning more accurately and people started thinking more about what they were learning.
Blaise Pascal's inventions changed the world because he invented the calculator. It made math way faster, and you could figure out harder math equations in very little time.
Galileo Galilei invention changed our world in many different ways. Catholic Church and the other people thought the earth was the center of the universe, but the truth is that the sun is the center of the universe, and he proved it by using mathematics and inventing telescope. What was their struggle they had?
Isaac Newton experienced emotional breakdowns throughout the years. There were many people that opposed his theories, and due to the Great Plague, he had to leave Cambridge University and study from his house for 2 years.
Peter Ramus got banned from teaching, but then Henry II lifted the ban because of the plague, because everybody was dying.
It took Blaise Pascal's 20 tries to invent the mechanical calculator.
Galileo Galilei was house arrest because of his death, and he also supported the Copernicanism. Copernicanism is the fundamental theoretical basis of the modern science, first demonstrated in early 16th century by Copernicus, who showed that the Earth and the other planets around the sun, which the Catholic Church is against. Humanism is a philosophical and ethical stance that emphasizes the value and agency of human beings, individually, collectively, and generally prefers critical thinking and evidence over established doctrine or faith.
Why is humanism important?
Our world would be very different if not for the Renaissance and humanism. Humanists viewed things differently than the church. Humanists thought that people should be educated and focused on individuality, stressing the individual's dignity and self-worth.
Churches would have kept its power and influences on people's lives. Humanism led to the decline of the power of the church.
The world we live in would be different if we didn't have humanism. The church might have kept its power and influence over people.
The word Renaissance means rebirth. It was the rebirth of art, science, and culture. It led to a better way of life for individuals.